Your lover boys are red, Benjamin.
What's going on, guys? Nick Lesagore here, Exit 12 Homebrew in the house. It is brew day. Brew day has come. I haven't brewed since all the boys visited Exit 12 Homebrew, since they all visited and we brewed 5 beers. So I'm getting back on the saddle. I'm so excited for this brew day. I need some brewing therapy like you read about. But today's important and exciting because it's my first 10-gallon batch on my Brewzilla brewing alone. The boys, Sean Brookside, Dave Big Dog, DOG, they actually were the ones that did the first 10-gallon batch, the IPL. So you can check out that video. It's on my YouTube channel. You can also check out Billy Gamdude Brewing. He has a video on that gigantic 5 brew day in the weekend with all the boys. My first 10-gallon batch, and I'm really excited about this beer because I haven't brewed it in a few years, and it's one of my mainstays. If I were to open a brewery, my fall selection would be this beer. It's an apple cinnamon brown ale known as lateral cohesion. Look up the term. It's a really fascinating term. I'm always learning more. I thought it was such a cool name. Lateral cohesion, I use real cinnamon and real apples. I'm going to be testing some different apples because the last time I brewed it, few years ago, the apple came through a little bit different than what I wanted it to. So I'm going to buy some apples from the store and maybe I'll record that footage too to try to determine what apple is the best. But I'm really excited. I can't wait for this brew day. The grain bill is very extensive. It's one of the more elaborate grain bills I have, going with some more noble hops. And again, this being my first time brewing a 10-gallon batch, getting used to the cost and the price. But I'm really excited. I can't wait to get going. I'm going to mill the grains. It is perfect brewing weather for indoors. Nice steady rain. Everything's quiet. It's warm out. I got my t-shirt on still. It's late September in New England. Trying to hold on to those last few days, weeks of summer. So I'm going to grind the grains. We're going to mill some grains, and we're going to get mashed in. So everybody that knows about the grain mill I bought knows that I am dealing with a big time struggle with grain particles, grain dust. So what I've done is, to help alleviate that, to get the bucket closer to the bottom of the grain mill, is I've just taken the packaging, that tubing came in alongside some coasters to try to hike it up a little bit to reduce the amount of grain dust. So let's see how that goes when I mill in here on this 10-gallon batch.
Your lover boys are red, Benjamin.
Okay, let's look at the damage. Definitely some grain dust on the floor, some grain particles. But honestly, that is not nearly as bad as it is when I have the bucket on the ground. So it's a good solution for now. But I know that there's a lot of grain dust that's sitting right underneath the stand itself that I'm going to have to brush off. But overall, that cleanup's not that bad. And that is a full 5-gallon bucket of grain. I have to remember I'm brewing 10-gallon batches. Okay, here we go. One thing I did, we're at 158 for our strike temp. One thing I did do was I turned the temp down before I mash in. I turned the temp down to our mash temperature. And then the second thing I do is I'm doing the Sean Brookside brews method, and I turn down the power to 50%. We found that 50% with the 10-gallon batch really, and I think Sean does it, pretty sure Sean does it for his 5s as well. But we found that that really does a good job at maintaining that mash temperature throughout. There's also a lot of chemicals, or water salts. There's also a lot of water salts in here, so the water is a little more murky than usual. All right, let's mash in. You have to be careful. Nice and slow. The Gamdude method, nice and slow.
Yeah, can't do as nice and slow.
That's right.
You can't do as nice and slow. That I can't do as nice and slow.
The Gamdude method, nice and slow, Bean.
Yeah, you do it nice and slow.
Okay, I just got done mashing in. I had the help of my son, which was a pretty amazing moment as a dad. But anyway, that's not what you're here for. You're here for beer. So 148.6 was the temperature on the wrap probe. 152.8 is the temperature on the unit, which actually isn't bad at all. I will absolutely take that. Also considering my son was helping me to mash in. And so, obviously, you know, things take a little bit longer. So if I were mashing it on my own, we'd probably be closer to 150. But I'm really happy with that temp differential right now. Okay, looking at the temp differential as I turn on the pump. 149 to 154 at 50%. There goes the pump. I'm gonna turn it down a little bit. I know it's tough to see. But I think that is where I like it. Boom. We'll keep an eye on it. We'll see how that goes. But so far, that is a beautiful brown color. Okay, so I'm at 5.60. I think I'm going to add some baking soda to get this thing down. But I'm contemplating if I should or not. Mash timer is going. Maybe I'll add a little bit. Okay, adding a little bit less than 2 milliliters of lactic acid got us down to 5.4. Absolutely love it. Right where we want to be. Okay, we're halfway through the mash, 30 minutes in. The wrapped is reading 152, the built-in is 148, and the heat is off. 4 degrees, pretty solid for halfway through the mash. 152 on the button for the wrapped temperature thermometer. And look at how clear that bad boy is pulling. Just beautiful. I can't wait to get an idea what gravity is on this first 10-gallon batch. I need to find the pail that I used to sparge with. I think my son ran off with it a couple weeks ago. But yeah, making headway. Okay, a lot going on here at Exit 12 Homebrew. I am now in the middle of pulling the malt pipe. I just did it. Really nice flow. Really excited about it. I'm going to start heating up. I'm going to start heating up to boiling. I will say this. 50% heat. I turned it up to 70% to mash out. 50% heat was about a 4-degree difference, which was really nice. I'll take that all day. It got as close as a ½ degree. We are also cleaning the keg fermenter, the torpedo. And I have to pull my first running sample. We're going to throw this into the Easy Dens, see what we get for a gravity. You don't have to, in home brewing, you don't have to pull a first running sample. A first running sample is basically just the malt, the water, mixed for 60 minutes. And that's the gravity of that. You know, obviously I'm watering it down with sparge water, but I'd like to get a sense of where my conversion is with the first running's gravity. So I'm going to hit it with the first running's gravity, and we're going to start our sparge process. Okay, we are currently sitting at 1.078 for first runnings. I'm going to take a look at what the pre-boil gravity is. I'm going to be adding, I think it's 6 gallons of sparge water. I don't know. We'll see where I finish. We'll see what the grain absorption is with a 20 plus pound grist. And we'll see what my first runnings pre-boil volume looks like, and then we'll start sparging. So I got Josh on the call. He's currently jerking off, but while he's doing that, you guys can't hear it because he's in my ear. While he's doing that, here is, we're at 191. Here is we're done sparging. It's just the last little bits. I like to let it drip quite a bit. Like to really make sure that it's as dry as it can be before I transfer, because I have to walk it all the way over there. So we're at 13 gallons, just about. Just a hair under 13. Recipe calls for 12.79 gallons, but I just rounded up. So we'll see where gravity is. We're shooting for a 1.049 pre-boil gravity. Measuring out the UK Challenger. Oh man. Kind of has a dank character, kind of floral. I get lemon. Some lime, a little bit of lemon lime. Oh, smelling good, looking good, feeling good. Deion Sanders. Coming up to a boil now.
Your laboratories are red, Benjamin.
All right, 50, we're 10 minutes into the boil, 1.5 ounces of Challenger hops just went in. Larger batches mean more hops, and I'm here for it. Okay, we're shooting for 1.049 pre-boil gravity. 1.049 pre-boil gravity. 1.049 pre-boil gravity. All right, we're up. 1.053, which is supposed to be the OG. I'm pretty sure I'll have to check my brew father, but I'm pretty sure I set it to 79% efficiency. I don't know. We'll see. Either way, rather be up than down, so I'll take it. Okay. 10 minutes left until the end of the boil. I have to get used to this, but I'm adding 2 Whirlflock tablets, not 1. And I usually add a tablespoon of yeast nutrient for my 5-gallon batches. Because I'm doing 10 gallons now, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of yeast nutrient. Now you may be saying, Nick, why? That's a waste of yeast nutrient. And I would say, well, person on the internet, I don't know what my process is going to be a year from now. Maybe I don't see any differences with 1 tablespoon, 2 tablespoons of yeast nutrient, and I add 1 going forward. But for now, for my first 10-gallon batch ever, 2 Whirlflock tablets and 2 tablespoons of yeast nutrient. 10 minutes left in the boil. Everything's going well so far. Knock on all the home brewing equipment you can find. Okay, currently sitting at 88 degrees. I'll get a reading on how long that's taken. Cooling down. We're at 9 minutes. 87 degrees on a 10-gallon batch. And I have, so that I don't have to stir it, I have the whirlpool arm going, which in 10 gallons of beer, more than that, in a 10-gallon batch, I should say, right under 12 gallons, full pump is on full power. It's actually going pretty good, a little bit better than I thought it would, but it took a while to get there. Anyway, 9.5 minutes, 85 degrees. We're going to try to cool this puppy down to 68. 70. We'll say 70. All right, guys, here we go. We are officially fermenting, transferring into the 60-liter Brewzilla. Let's see how this goes.
Yellow boys are red.
As we're transferring, I wanted to just show, look at how clear the wort is coming through. God, that thing looks good. I'm so excited to drink this. 4 cinnamon sticks, I think 6 pounds of apples. I'm excited to see how it ferments too. My first 10-gallon batch. I took a gravity sample, we'll see how it looks for OG. But the look is solid. Whew. Okay, I have cleaned up,
You have 2 reds.
and now we're going to take a sample
You have 2 reds.
for our FG. It is 1.057, 68 degrees. Taking another look. Let me grab the light. And we're sitting at, if you can see
I
that,
checked that.
right pretty much at 11 gallons. So 1.057 at 11 gallons. Good job, bud. 1.057 at 11 gallons.
What kind of beer are you making in there?
OG 1.057. Fermenter volume 11 gallons. Ooh, fermenter volume 10.8. Nope, 11 gallons. Puts us at 84%. Brewhouse efficiency 89%. Mash efficiency 5.9% alcohol. So a little bit high, but we'll see where it ferments down, because my beers notoriously don't go as low as they probably should. We're looking to get to 1.012. I doubt it gets down that far, but we'll see. I'm now going to pitch the yeast and call this brew day a day. So let's pitch some
Today's
yeast.
Saturday.
Today is Saturday.
So you're gonna have a lot of brewing today?
Time to pitch the yeast. I have 2 packs. 2 packs. 060 American Ale yeast from White Labs. If I'm going to be doing 10-gallon batches, I may have to make a concerted effort to move to dry yeast, because $16 a pop for liquid yeast. Not feeling it. Some sanitizer. There's the top one. Package 1. Those. I'm actually not going to screw this on yet. The first thing I'm going to do is, that lid goes on so much easier than the normal Brewzillas. I love that. Take off carb cap. Now, I think I have to put this on, because if I'm fermenting under pressure, this thing will most certainly pop out. So, I noticed that this won't necessarily go on. I don't think that I'll be able to take this lid off and put it on with everything intact. Let's try it. I tried it the other day, yeah, there's just no way. So in order for me to get this lid off, I'm going to have to remove the fittings. So what I want to do here with this tri-clamp is I want to make sure I have it turned around for easy access, because I will have to drop in
Can I
4 cinnamon sticks and 6 pounds of apples. So I may end up having to take this all apart to do that. We'll have to see. Figure that out when I get to it. But for now, I'm going to set up the tri-flame so it's sitting in front, so it's easy for me to take it on, to take it off and put it on. Go. That's on. Yeast is pitched. All of that is on. Got those on nice and tight. This would be a great way to dry hop when I want to dry hop. Just hand tighten those. And now what I want to do is hit it with gas. We'll see how well this goes. Hopefully, I don't get an explosion. Oh man, that's high. Okay. Ooh. I already know I'm going to need a longer tube for this, a longer CO2 tube. Pressurize it at about 10 psi. Pull it off. I'm going to throw on, just dropped it. We're going to throw on the Dave Big Dog spunding valve. This is very poor lighting, very poor lighting. The Dave Big Dog spunding valve. Speed, I'm going to turn it up. On, and we're currently sitting at 5 psi. So keep an eye on that. We're going to call this brew day a day. Keep you guys updated. Maybe I'll even put out a video about choosing apples. We'll see. We did it.
We did it.
You'll never fly the red, Benjamin.
What's going on, guys? Nick Lesagor here, Exit 12 Homebrew in the house. It has been 2 weeks since I brewed the apple cinnamon brown ale, and today is the day that I'm adding the apples and the cinnamon. So 5 pounds of apples, Macintosh apples, go on my YouTube. I did a nice YouTube short of picking out what apple I was going to use. Got 5 pounds of Macintosh apples. I'm going to throw in 4 cinnamon sticks into the primary fermenter. But first I have to take a gravity reading, so I'm going to pull out a sample. Right now we're sitting at 5% ABV, which is just where I want it. If it's gotten down a little bit lower, I'm okay with that too. As you can tell, probably, I have a new microphone setup. What up, roadie? Upgrading my microphone setup. Hopefully it's coming through. I did a nice little test. And I also got an upgraded tripod because my old tripod was a piece of trash. So we'll see how that works as well. Really excited to get going on adding the adjuncts to this batch. We're gonna let it sit in the fermenter for 3 to 5 days. I'm thinking maybe more on the 5-day range. Cold crash it with the apples in the cinnamon in the fermenter for 3 days, transfer to the keg, carb this thing up, and then have it ready definitely by Thanksgiving, probably most likely by Halloween, which would be nice. Okay, I'm gonna clear this line out. There was some sanitizer sitting in it. I'm gonna take the sample with this bad boy. Boom. Lay that down. Grab a nice rag. Pull off. Ugh. There we go. There's still some protein sitting on top, but the fermentation looks pretty much done. So let's get a reading on this bad boy. Before we get a reading, take a look at that. Very nice. Can't really, on my end, I get like a really nice amber hue to it, which is really nice. Really, really roasty. Get chocolate like a baker's chocolate. Definitely got a lot of those brown ale characters. This brings me back to when I brewed it a few years ago. Yeah. Roasty throughout, more so on the back end. That baker's chocolate definitely coming through quite a bit. Has like a fruity kind of character to it too, which may be the hops. Let's take, I don't want to drink this whole thing. Let's take a gravity sample. Throw in the sample of the brown ale through. See what we get. 1.017. I believe that's gone down a couple of points. I'll have to check. 1.019. Yeah, just a few days ago we were at 1.019. And now we're at 1.017. So let's go into the Brewfather. We'll throw this bad boy into the calc. Yeah, 1.019. 1.017 puts us at 5.3% alcohol, which I'll take. Perfect to be adding some apples and cinnamon. Okay, this is my first time using a 10-gallon fermenter, or a 60-liter, about 16-gallon fermenter. This is my first time doing a 10-gallon batch. One thing I know is that we need to blow off the added pressure. There's definitely a lot in there. Oh, there's a little bit of activity coming up. My thinking is I should be all right. Okay. Got about this much headspace kind of coming up on it. As you can see, this is what happens when you pressure ferment. Things get roused again. But that's what happens when I release the pressure. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to release this top. There was some air left. I'm going to have to hit that with sanitizer. I need to take this top off. I'm not sure. All right. There we go. Got the top off. I am going to take a glove. This is very hastily done. It's near the end of fermentation, if not at the end. Got a nice head of foam there. Gonna hit it with some sanitizer. Nice head of foam on that beer, as you can see. I'm gonna hit the scissors with sanitizer. Cut this open. These apples are still partially frozen because I just kind of took them out of the fridge. But you know what? It is what it is. I'm gonna try it anyway. Oh, there goes one. I'm gonna try to actually drop these as gingerly as I can. You know, cold side oxidation and all. I'm throwing them in loose. temperature of the apples will probably kickstart some sort of cold crash. It'll be interesting to see how these apples do in solution, because I haven't used real apples in a long time, so I don't remember. Now you might ask, well, Nick, why did you freeze the apples first? Well, what I did was I purchased them, brought them home, cleaned them off with water, then I cut them up, and then I froze them. Now, the reason why you freeze them is you want to kill the nasties, the little microorganisms that may cause infection. And freezing has always done the trick for me. Boom. And now, what I'm actually going to do is take this glove off. I have a second glove. I'm going to throw four cinnamon sticks. Boom. I've heard with cinnamon, a little goes a long way. Again, I haven't used them in a long time, but. And in we go with the second bag. I measured the cores. I must have had 10 to 15 apples, maybe closer to 15. And there were 13 ounces in cores that were not included. So I had about 5 1/4, I would say. 5 1/4 pounds of apples going in. Cold side oxidation people watching this video right now are losing their minds with the way I'm dropping in these apples. But you know what? I go to the Mike 77 Trans Am guy school of homebrewing. Where, as we know, in the end, it will be beer. And although it may not look like it, I am trying to get this done relatively quickly so as to not expose the beer to too much oxygen. Thank goodness I have a really heavy, thick head of foam on there. Okay. Now I got all five plus pounds of apples. There we go. Got the top on. I am then going to hit the piece that popped off. I'm going to hit it with Sani. And I'm going to throw, the plastic piece. Kabam, gasket. So, moral of that story is depressurize. Make sure you're fully depressurized. Okay. Gasket goes on. Top goes on. And then what I'm going to do is, if there's any concern with oxygen, I'm now going to take my CO2 tank I'm gonna pump some CO2 in. I actually do it with a smaller one. I'm gonna blow it off 7 times. Random number. I was gonna do 5. I did 7 instead. And I'm looking at about 10 psi. And as you can see, I don't know if you saw it, but the foam immediately started going down once I refilled with CO2. All set. I hit it with CO2. I'm gonna throw the top on, or the spunding valve rather. We'll see what this looks like. All right. And there we go, 10 psi on the dot. There you go, 10 psi on the dot.
You'll never buy the red, Benjamin.
We are all set. Krausen went down, or not Krausen, but the foam from bleeding off the unit went down, and you can see some little apples. Some fresh apples. I'm gonna try to keep an eye on the apples. I don't want them to go bad. But I found under CO2, when I'm adding adjuncts, it tends to get like the orange peel saison. The orange peels I left in there for about 10 days and they were perfectly fine. So under pressure, they seem to, with no oxygen, they seem to stay just fine. Some apples sitting on top there. We'll see how this turns out. I'm so excited.